we always knew people on shift work die early of all sorts of different conditions, everything from cancer to heart attacks. And sleep is an extraordinarily important part of our lives. It's the time of lots of regeneration. It's the times when our brains are sorting out all the memories of all the things that have happened the day before. It's a critically important time. Also, it's a time which fixes your body clock. So you have a clock in your head. And I'm sure many of the listeners will be aware that often when they put your alarm, you put your alarm clock on, you wake up about a minute before the alarm clock goes off. And that's because you've actually got a clock in your head, which is incredibly accurate and knows exactly what the time of day is. And this clock is very important to set your body, because the needs of your body when you wake up in the morning are very different from the needs of your body when you're fast asleep at about 2 in the morning. And so you need your metabolism, your cardiovascular system, so your heart rate and your blood pressure, your immune system, they all vary over the 24 hours. And it's all closely tied up. This 24-hour rhythm is closely tied up for all the tissues in the body. And if you have a nice 7 or 8 hours of sleep regularly, everything within your body clock and in terms of the rhythms of your bodies are really well set. But you deviate from that, and what happens is that your body clock is doing one thing and your body is doing something else. And that is extremely unhealthy. And there's been a lot of interest in this. And what's really interested me is that it's not the length of time you sleep. I mean, if you sleep too little, obviously that's bad. But what's most important is the regularity of it, the time you go to bed and the time you wake up in the morning. And there is now good evidence that people who have irregular times of going to bed and getting up in the morning, that you might like to call it a stressor, but let's say it makes you much more susceptible to getting a lot of different diseases. And so we always knew people on shift work die early of all sorts of different conditions, everything from cancer to heart attacks. If you have disturbed sleep, it is extremely bad for you. But we now begin to understand that it can be even more subtle than this, that just disorders in the time you go to sleep and getting up again is enough to disrupt your body. So the answer to your question is yes. Well, I think the really most important thing about shift work is that if you're going to work night shifts and day shifts, you should do prolonged numbers of night shifts and day shifts. Just doing night shifts is fine. If you're on 6 months of night shifts, that health-wise isn't a problem. You'll reset your body clock. You can reset it by about 1 hour a day. You'll reset it to that time, and you'll continue that for that 6 months, and then you change again. That's fine. That's not going to be a problem. But what the people who run companies need to be aware of is that they shouldn't be changing people's shifts regularly. So, one day you might be working from 9 to 5, the next from 10 to 12. You shouldn't be keep changing it, because that's what's dangerous. And so the people who are running our 24-hour society or running companies which are working for over 24 hours need to be aware of how they can change the pattern of work of their staff in a way that is least detrimental to their health. And that science is known now.
Yeah, so there's no excuse.